Let's document story number 1 in my December daily 2025 album. Hi, friends. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Torey, and today we are working in my December daily album, just documenting the first story, the first official story of the season. So in November, we actually had some family photos taken, like a little mini session, nothing too crazy. And I have printed out some of these photos because they all came out so good. And I wanted to just put these at the very beginning of my album. So I am going to be using one of the 6 3x4 pocket page protectors and just pulling out several 3x4 photos to fill in those pockets. I have an individual photo of each of the kids. And when we had our photos done, Um, they didn't actually take the photographer didn't actually take an individual photo of myself or my husband, which is fine. I honestly hadn't even thought about using these at that time. So what I ended up doing was instead of trying to have an individual photo of each of us, there was a photo of each of us only with all of the kids. Does that make sense? Each of us individually, but with all of the kids. So I used both of those photos and I am pulling out some of the scallop labels and I'm going to hang those off of the bottom of each of the photos and use that for kind of like the photo labeling. Right now, I am just trying to figure out what I want to do with that very last pocket in the middle of the page there. And I'm just looking for something that will match the previous page that I did, the reason why page, just to make sure that they kind of flow together side by side. And I have a feeling that that's going to be something that I'll be doing quite a lot in this particular album because I don't foresee very many of my stories in this size of an album stretching across 2 pages because the pages are so large. So I have a feeling that I will be kind of just checking to make sure that the pages that are next to each other kind of, even if they're not about the same topic, they kind of go together because that is something that has the potential to bother me. So, like I said, I am just gonna be hanging these scallop labels off the edge of the photo, and I'm placing those at the bottom. And on this label, I'm actually going to stamp out names as well as current ages. And that's pretty much all I'm gonna do for the individual photos themselves. I feel like these photos are like just they're good enough to stand on their own. They don't need a ton of extra embellishments. And the little mini photo shoot that we did was like a tree farm kind of photo shoot. So there's a bunch of fake Christmas trees around us and everything. So very, very like holiday specific. So I thought that I would just kind of let them shine as they would and just hang the label right off the bottom. And I am putting again our names and ages on each of those labels. In previous years, I have taken our family photos myself. And so this is a little bit different than previous years, but I've also added like a fair bit of journaling to this page. And this year I decided to skip that, and I am just going to be placing a full scalloped label just right on the middle of that card. And I am going to just staple down one of those plastic numbers that came in the embellishment pack this year from Allie Edwards. I think that the labels themselves came in the main kit, and I believe that the actual patterned 3x4 card came from the Paisley Press kit for this year. I am using my personal stamp set from my Etsy shop to do this stamping on this page, and that is the Mini Typewriter Alpha. I kind of overlapped them a little bit too much with my husband's little tab that I'm stamping on right now, but I decided not to try and fix it because I didn't want it to be like really messy. And with typewriter just in general typewriter looks, you often have missing pieces of letters, which is why it is my favorite stamp set to use because I never feel like I need it to be 100% perfect. So what I'm doing is just pulling out each letter of each person's name or mommy and daddy, which is what I'm putting for myself and my husband. And I'm just going to be stamping that first and foremost on that little label that's hanging off of each photo. And then I will be using this super tiny alpha that's on this stamp set to stamp out the word age on everybody's photo as well. And then coming back in and stamping out our ages. Once I've got the ages stamped out, then I will work on that kind of title card, which is just going to have the number 1. I have also been considering coming back and stamping the word us on that title card as well. And I feel like that's a very good title for this page personally. So, and every time I've come back into this album and looked at this page, and granted, it's only been like 2 or 3 times since I created this spread, but every time I come back in and I look at it, I'm like, I really wish I had stamped us down at like the bottom corner of this page. So I do have a feeling that that'll eventually end up being in the album somewhere. Well, on this page, but eventually be stamped on this card as well. I just actually have to go in and do it. I am using my Tim Holtz tiny attacher just to staple down that plastic one to the scalloped label. I've really just blanked on what that was called. Oh goodness. So I stapled that down and I'm just going to get that attached to each or that journaling card that I am placing it on top of. And then I will work on getting all of this placed back in the page protector. This one came together so super quickly, which is honestly, I think, the best way to start December daily because I am not trying to overwhelm myself immediately with these kinds of projects. So I had my page protector upside down so I couldn't get the photos in. So that's what was happening there momentarily. But that's it. This is everything for story number 1, the story of us. And this is going back in my album. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.